I'm Eric Schoenberg, Editor-in-Chief.
And I'm Jill Schlesinger, Editor-at-Large.
In today's reality check, financial reform is finally creeping towards law. What will be in the final bill and who will it really affect? Okay, Jill, after all these months of talking about financial reform, we're kind of down to the short strokes. What do you think is going to make it in, and what has to be in?
There has to be some oversight of these over-the-counter derivatives, these complex products that really nearly brought down AIG and were the core of this particular crisis. A lot of these instruments have been traded in the shadows. That's why some people call it a shadow banking system. There's something like $600 trillion worth of them that no one's looking at. So that has to be in the bill. There has to be oversight of them. Could be through an exchange, could be traded openly, but we have to see that there is somebody that is looking at these massively dangerous instruments so they don't cause a potential financial crisis.
Well, that certainly seems logical to me. Are you reassured by the fact that there's going to be this commission of wise heads who are going to look out for systemic risk and keep us safe from any kind of reoccurrence of the 2008 crisis?
Well, I'm a cynical trader at heart, so I would always short that sale about a regulator being able to spot that. But I'll tell you what is good. I think that if we raise the bar as to what we are expecting our regulators to do, that will be a good thing. I think that the problem is that it's not clear to anyone that there is any foresight from the regulators that they can see these things. Even when Lehman was failing, they didn't send enough people in. They really didn't take it all seriously enough. Maybe the crisis kind of lit the fire under their tushies. But I want to get to a point that I think is close to your heart. Is consumer financial protection going to make it into this bill?
Oh, boy, I sure hope so. I sure hope so. Here are the two sides of the argument. One is, it is going to make things more expensive, and it is going to reduce profits at some very highly influential big banks and brokerages. On the other hand, if we don't protect the consumer, what is this reform bill really about? The crisis started at the retail level. It started with people getting mortgages that they couldn't afford. It started with credit cards that people shouldn't have been given, and it started with a lot of unsavory behavior in which America's major financial institutions took advantage of American people. And if Congress doesn't stop that, what is their job exactly?
Oh, there's a serious question. Last issue that I think that we need to talk about is this idea of too big to fail, that we have this bailout fund, are we institutionalizing bailouts? I think this bill's massive failure is that it does not address one of the biggest issues, which is our institutions have gotten so large that the failure of any one of them really requires the government, i.e. the taxpayers, to bail them out. Why are we not addressing this fact in this bill? Because it's a very hot potato on the political front. No one wants to say to Morgan Stanley or to Goldman Sachs or Bank of America or JP Morgan Chase, you guys are too big, and we're going to put hard caps on how big you can get because we can't afford to bail you out if one of the things goes wrong. When's that going to happen, Eric?
I don't know. I think it's too complicated. I think that's another reason it's not happening. All these companies are too intertwined across the globe. So maybe you could regulate American banks and say, you're too big in America. But that bank is also international. And how do you coordinate with regulators in a bunch of other countries that may have a different agenda from us? I think there's just no way around this. Some companies are too big to fail, and the best thing you can do is to make it less likely that they will fail by regulating the really risky securities like derivatives, by making sure they have higher capital requirements so that they have a cushion of safety no matter what goes wrong, even if it's something that our wise systemic risk panel doesn't foresee. And then, just admit that some things are just built into the risk of a complex international global financial system.
Well, hang on. We're going to buckle our seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy ride to get to regulatory reform, but I think we are going to get there. And that's your reality check. Thanks for watching.